So we are back with the k-sinusoid explanation. Okay, so our sinusoid starts in prehistory. Uh, I think those eras will be mentioned in our Minecraft series, but uh, that in a moment. So far, the prehistoric era was, and to some extent also the ancient times, were mentioned in World 3 and the Makarab series. And today, what we will do in our Minecraft series is we will go to the antique times, ancient Greece period. That will appear in the channel in a while. So later, after the ancient times, we have the medieval times. After that, it's Renaissance. After that, we have Baroque, Enlightenment, Romanticism, Positivism, and the Belle Epoque. So that is the first part, very far in the past, that probably none of us remembers, because in person at least, because it was long time ago. Mm, So, what is happening here? At the upper part, we have the rational time periods, and at the bottom part, we have irrational time periods, as depicted in in the picture over here. Okay, so now let's go to the part 2. Now, we need to clarify one important thing here. The original k-sinusoid ended at World War II, but since we are a very long time after World War II, it's important to expand this sinusoid into the modern times. So, first we had the episode of modernity, and that ended more or less in 1971. We will depict that in the next slide. After that, there was retrofuturistic era, which ended up relatively short time ago and was replaced by far futuristic era. Uh, the last three in here are essentially my offer for you, my idea that wasn't like drawn before. Mm, the the attempt to continue. So, as we said, those three eras were invented by me. So why I suggest the division like this according to the k-sinusoid? So in modern times, we essentially after World War II we had the baby boom era, and it ended more or less in the early 1970s when. And at that time, also the gold standard was abolished by President Nixon, and that's why we decide to end the modernity over here. So, according to the ending of the k-sinusoid that I offer, my thesis is that we don't live in the modernity anymore. It ended around almost 60 years ago, and right now we live in the future. So, retrofuturistic era we know all too well. It was the beginning of rock and roll, synthwave music, hip hop, and all the things we know today. Also, it was the birth of dystopian future like Star Wars, Blade Runner, Terminator, and all the movies of that sort. However, this retrofuturistic era couldn't last forever because the artists got of that era got older, and uh, many of them either passed away or retired. And of course, in 2008 we had the JP Morgan crisis, which was quite an important crisis for the millennials and all the younger generations after them. Mm, So because 2008 ended the old era, it started far futuristic era, marked by many crises, but also the very fast development of technology. Despite them, now whether technology expansion is a good thing, it's a complex topic. That's a topic for another presentation. Um, So here the retrofuturistic concept has ended. Mm, Um, except of course the retrofuturistic movements like I believe we mentioned that in our presentations, the Prime Thanatos, for example, New Retro Wave, 80s guy. There were channels that attempted to resurrect the retrofuturistic concepts in the far futuristic era, but that's a topic for another presentation, and to some extent it was already mentioned. Okay, so let's continue later on. So, as we've said, the Greek mythology said that the world originated in chaos, and from that chaos emerged Gaia and Uranus. We later had Kronos, Titans, mutated beings. After that came gods, and after gods came humans. Uh, we will explore that certainly in due time, in even more detail than today. So, as we said, we also had the biblical world creation, where we the world was created by 7 days, and God was ordering and dividing the world in to the things we know today. Also, there was a second description of the world creation where the humans were made out of clay, but uh, that one is a topic for another day. Okay, so now Hindu world creation. So as we said in Hindu, the there was eternal cycle of changes, and there is that idea of the Trimurti, which plays an important role in the narrative of this eternal cycle of changes. Uh, According to science, we had that thing called Big Bang, which made our world originate from the thing that was called singularity. Now, ultimately, the question arises: what created the singularity? But that that's also a topic for another day. So, with the concept of chaos and entropy, there is also the concept of quantum fluctuations that is connected with that. Okay, and as we realized that the universe was chaotic, we tried to measure that chaos, and that led us to the concept of entropy, which has become measurable and quantifiable thing in maths. Those of you who studied either IT, physics, or some sort of university stuff, you've probably seen this formula used to calculate the entropy. So let's sum up our presentation. Uh, so our world is fundamentally obsessed with the measurement of change to track the transformation, as it's the only way to understand causality, and that term here, causality, is rather important. We know that from the matrix, from the Merovingian, action, reaction, cause and effect. We've seen multiple attempts to describe the changes in our world with the world creation descriptions, with the k-sinusoid, and all the other stuff. So ultimately we have more and more proof about the chaotic nature of the universe. So with that in mind, I'd like to end our presentation for now. Thanks everyone for watching, and we see each other in most probably in Minecraft series in a while.